Have you ever wondered why Supreme Leader Snoke looks the way he does, why he's all deformed and like he just got the snot kicked out of him by somebody? Well, I think I have an answer for you. So, historically speaking, cloning Force sensitives in Star Wars has been extremely difficult, pretty much impossible before the rise of Skywalker. And because that is such a hard thing to do, Snoke had numerous physical deformities because the Sith Eternal were forced to take risks and play with the gene codes in a way that resulted in Snoke looking the way he does, but also gave him their desired Force sensitivity. So it's sort of like a trade-off. Snoke had many physical ailments and was potentially even like slowly dying over time, but he was Force sensitive to a very strong and considerable degree. And the same goes for Palpatine's clone body. Palpatine's corpse was not able to house and protect his essence as it should have been, or as he would have wished. He was carried around by a massive crane in the Rise of Skywalker. His body was obviously deteriorating. He was not doing so hot. So that's the evidence for that. Both successful Force-sensitive clones created on Exegol were in really bad shape. And it's further evidenced by the fact that when Kylo Ren is looking for Palpatine on Exegol and he's walking through the cloning labs, he passes by that tank that's holding failed Snoke clones, and they have all the same scarring, or a lot of the same scarring at least, as the real Snoke that we see in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. The theory that I'm proposing here is that that's because he is Force sensitive. They have to take some serious risks, and in order to artificially create this living being who has this high level of connectedness to the Force, this high midichlorian count within him, it sort of eats away at these individuals. Their clone bodies are not able to sustain that level of power. And I think that's also supported by the fact that Dathan, Rey's father, was a healthy person but was not Force sensitive. He was just a normal dude. They didn't give him enough of that, whatever goes into that biological cloning process to make him Force sensitive, but because they didn't do that, he was healthy. He was just a normal guy. Now, before the Rise of Skywalker, it was implied that Luke Skywalker inflicted damage onto Snoke in an encounter which took place shortly before or after Ben Solo. I think after Ben Solo's turn to the dark side. Ben looks at Snoke and he says, "Look what Luke did to you." So it's definitely implied before the Rise of Skywalker that Luke and Snoke had a fight and Luke beat him up pretty good. And I think both things can be true. I think Snoke probably looked similar to the way he does in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens before he fought Luke, and then perhaps Luke inflicted further damage onto him, and I think that's the most logical explanation. Luke put a good smack on him, and Snoke was already a rather unappealing individual before that. But yeah, that is going to wrap things up for me, so thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this idea in the comments section below. Do you think that any successful clone of Snoke would have looked similar to the way that he does in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? Or do you think that perhaps those failed Snoke clones in the tanks that we see in The Rise of Skywalker looked that way because they were failures, and the scarring is just, I don't know, perhaps that being had some predisposition to have some scarring in the middle of his head like that. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like to support the channel, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day wherever you may be, and until next time, remember, the Force will be with you always.